Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to this special broadcast as part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav series on Sansad TV. I'm Tina Jha. As we celebrate this significant milestone and look back at our journey of 75 years, we take the opportunity to bring before you stories of strength, hope, change and determination of all those who've contributed to this landmark journey, one that's been filled with challenges but which we have successfully overcome to emerge as a responsible global power today. The last 2 years particularly have been difficult for us. Hit by an unprecedented pandemic, we've had to face fear, despair, stress, and even deaths of our near and dear ones. The only thing that gave us hope in these testing times was the vaccine against COVID-19. And much to the pride and delight of every Indian, we had our very own indigenous vaccine developed in record time. Covaxin, along with another locally produced vaccine, the Covishield, have been key drivers of India's COVID vaccination program, which is the largest in the world. The homegrown vaccine developed by Bharat Biotech has not just been a savior, but a symbol of the triumph of Indian science, enterprise, and collective spirit of 130 crore Indians. To talk about the journey of Covaxin, how Bharat Biotech, in collaboration with ICMR, made it work despite the challenges, and much more about India's dominance in the pharma sector. I'm joined by a very special guest today. It gives me immense pleasure today to welcome on Sansad TV the Joint Managing Director of Bharat Biotech, Mrs. Suchitra Ella. Thank you for your time, Mrs. Ella, and welcome to Sansad TV. Absolute pleasure to have you once again on my show. I remember the last time I had a conversation with you was back in 2020. Of course, a lot has changed since then. India's vaccination program has seen tremendous success since 2020. And of course, you, along with Dr. Ella, have been honored with the Padma Bhushan as well. So let me first take the opportunity to congratulate you on behalf of Sansad TV and Dr. Ella as well on being awarded with the prestigious Padma Bhushan.
Thank you very much, Tina. In fact, it is a great honor and a great sense of fulfilling one's responsibility towards the country.
Certainly, and
even though it was during tough times. As you just mentioned earlier, we had spoke 2 years ago, and we didn't know what the future was holding for us collectively. But I think the outcomes, the perseverance and the endurance that we took upon ourselves and the way we took the vaccine development forward without letting it go, I felt that have done the best we can for the public health of this country.
My very first question to you on the kind of transformation, the kind of success that we have seen over the last 1.5 years since the COVID vaccination program began is the journey of Covaxin. This is one vaccine which has enhanced India's vaccine prowess.
Tina, as you are aware of, Bharat is a 25-year old first generation biotech company. Krishna Ella and myself co-founded it back in 1996 after returning back to India from the United States after undergoing training and academic training and experience and exposure in the life sciences and also in, for me particularly in the commercial aspects in marketing and business development and such areas. We chose to come back to India with the simple goal to enable and to establish new generation technologies in public healthcare, in the space of public healthcare. It was very important for us at that point of time because India had to import vaccines for pediatric vaccines for the children, life-saving they were. And we had a few organizations that were catering to our requirements, but the second generation and the future technologies that were evolving in the West had to also be brought back to India and had to be worked upon. So innovation and new technology building and new product development, clinical research, and going through the regulatory framework of building new molecules had to be done in India. And that was the way we felt that we could achieve sustainability and sustain ourselves in enabling a good public health system to the children of this country at that point of time. When the pandemic struck us, we were, of course, like all of us, the entire world, and we in India in particular, were all dumbfounded by it. I mean, we were just stuck, or it struck us like a lightning, and we were probably in shock for a month or a few weeks in order to see how we were going to take it on, and how we could prepare ourselves, or what could we do to face it in the worst case scenarios. We had by then manufactured and have developed more than 15 vaccines, starting from polio to the rotavirus vaccine, which was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister of India in March 2015. The first indigenously developed rotavirus vaccine was launched and also now is available in India. So we, with that kind of confidence that we had in developing new vaccines for rotavirus and for typhoid and for other infectious diseases, we also felt that we had some kind of a prowess in terms of attempting, at least, because at that point of time, it is only an attempt in order to see, because the virus was different. We did not have much information about it worldwide. We were looking upon the West and other countries. We were to understand what kind of academic information that they had at that point of time. And we also had to have inherent technology competencies and processes that are required to develop vaccines. For us, at that point of time, we were very comfortable with what we call a ViroCell platform technology, which we have deployed in about a half a dozen vaccines for chikungunya, for rabies, and for Zika and other vaccines. So we felt that that same technology platform could be also utilized for developing the SARS-CoV-2 virus for the vaccine. And we then approached the Indian Council of Medical Research because we needed the live virus in order to get kick-started. And we were not working with a sequenced genetic model. So we needed the live virus strains. And we then approached the ICMR because the National Institute of Virology was the repository of such infectious organisms in the country. And we had to get our strains in the most appropriate manner, Absolutely. In the safest manner from the National Institute of Virology. So we approached the ICMR, wrote to the Ministry of Health and to the ICMR, and thereby received the strains from the NIV, and then which was transported to our facilities in Hyderabad by road. By then it was the lockdown. I think it was 1.0, and if I'm saying it right. And there was no logistics, there was no transportation, there was no aircrafts, there was no cargo. Nothing was happening in the country. This was end of April, we are talking about, of 2020. So our own senior colleagues from the organization drove to Pune, to NIV, and collected the samples, the virus samples in -70, and very safely and very cautiously transported it back into our facilities in Hyderabad. And we, at that point of time, had just been finishing our work in putting up a new plant, a manufacturing facility called the BSL-3 Plus facility, which is Biosafety Level 3 Plus, which is kind of like the most stringent facilities that one could ever imagine or establish for producing certain types of vaccines which need that kind of facility, so that these infectious organisms are contained and are inactivated and are killed in that facility without allowing it to spread or to contaminate other the people and the resources and all the other facilities that are surrounding it. So this facility was with us. We had been developing it for another product for the injectable polio vaccine, in fact. And so we felt that this was something that we could immediately, deploy for the SARS-CoV-2 virus as well. And once the virus came into our facilities, it took us probably less than 45 days to actually formulate the vaccine candidate at that point of time. And then we were ensured that we were sure that we were absolutely safe in terms of the parameters that were deployed.
So given the unprecedented challenges, Mrs. Ella, that we have faced, even though you were in this, vaccine development business for the last 2 decades, but given the unprecedented nature of the pandemic and the kind of challenges that you had to face, can we say that for Bharat Biotech, for you, this has been the turning point?
Certainly in certain ways, yes, Tina, because it was not a routine vaccine development timeline. When we look at vaccine development, it goes on for 10, 15, 20. Some vaccines have taken even beyond 30 years in their development processes, but which is something normal, which is routine for certain infectious diseases and certain vaccine development programs. For us ourselves, rotavirus took us more than 15 years to bring a commercially viable, safe and efficacious vaccine to offer to the, to the public health. This one was, of course, no doubt in saying that we turned it around in less than 12 months. I think it was unheard of. Worldwide, this is how the timelines were. We were running stacked up against time. It was like almost trying to climb Mount Everest.
Absolutely. That's why the Prime Minister actually went on to describe this development journey as the triumph of Indian science, the triumph of the collective will of 130 crore Indians. One thing that has also emerged from this pandemic is that even though India has for quite some years been known as the pharmacy of the world because we provide to the world affordable vaccines, but this very title has been reinforced by the pandemic. The manner in which we've seen the world looking towards India with hope for, of course, vital medicines and also the vaccines. As one of the important and the oldest contributors in this vaccine development journey, what do you think have been the factors that have propelled the rise of India in the pharma sector, bringing us to this position that we enjoy today?
India's pharma life sciences sector is not new to India. We have been very strong in terms of manufacturing generic products and generic molecules for decades now, and at very, very affordable pricing, because that was something which was very prohibitive for countries, nations like us. Our purchasing power in terms of affordability when it came to medical products and vaccines was not something that was comparable to the Western and the developed nations of the world. So we have, as a country, we have had this immense strength in the pharmaceutical sciences, in life sciences, and also in vaccine manufacturing, because our own government labs in Himachal, in Kunur, and in other places were established way back when prior to India's independence, in order to produce some of the life-saving vaccines through first-generation technologies. So that base was there, but that alone was not enough. We had to leapfrog into millions of doses because the population also demanded it. And then the viability of these projects also had to be met, because we then have to now produce vaccines not for just catering to our own Indian public healthcare needs or the system, but also to other developing countries and the underdeveloped nations of the world, because many countries were looking up to India for the kind of drugs and medicines and vaccines that were being manufactured here due to their good testimony of being safe and effective, and very importantly, cost effective. Very, very important factor. So we have just started looking in the last 2 decades, I would say, Tina, India has become the pharmacy of the world. We have heard this terminology being used very, very commonly.
Yes.
And it is true, though it was probably never exposed in a manner in which it has been during the pandemic now. But I think our own vaccines are about 60% we manufacture and we market to the rest of the world. Bharat alone supplies more than 125 countries vaccines. We have manufactured more than 5 billion of these life-saving vaccines.
Certainly. In fact, data suggests that over 65% children in the world in their lifetime have been administered at least one made in India dose. Speaks volumes about the kind of progress we have made in the pharma industry. But at the same time, you know, now that we look at the progress we have made in this sector, there is no returning back. There is only, you know, the future to look at, and we have to go up and beyond. So in that aspect, taking on from the lessons that we have learned over this journey of 75 years as we mark the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, what does the future hold for particularly the pharma sector and research and innovation? Because this is where the thrust has to be.
Absolutely, Tina. I think that's wonderfully put by you. I mean, the backbone, the DNA for us, the crux of the DNA for us has been innovation, has been, intellectual property, developing new processes and developing new product lines that are required. We cannot be copycats. We cannot, measure up to, we have to catch up on technology. And we need to be on par with the developed nations and the other nations who have access to such technology. And this was important for us, which we realized way back 25 years ago when we started the organization, that we are going to be an innovation-driven company from India. And we have ensured that all of our products have been taken forward in that kind of a light. And this now with COVID, we have again proven ourselves in terms of how we have stood up to the occasion, how we have risen to the occasion, and how we have matched the other countries of the world. And we have become the 5th nation in the world to have our own vaccines developed in India and also manufactured in India. The billion population that we are seeing times 2 doses is a 2 billion doses of vaccines, which is unheard of. I don't think there is any other country out there except China that has this kind of numbers that have to be catered to. So our system, our competencies have become robust because we have deployed different technologies and processes for making different vaccine platforms. All of them are not the same. Some of them are recombinant, some of them are bacterial vaccines, and some of them are viral vaccines. So we have to be very cautious, at the same time very competent in terms of our skill set, our resources, and our timelines, and the technology finally, by bringing about new technologies and new intellectual property to the country itself at large, so that we are able to cater to our own healthcare needs and also cater to the rest of the world when it comes to quality medicines and quality vaccines. The future is also absolutely going to go forward in the same line. At India at 75, I think I'm so proud to be at this moment. I don't think there could be another moment of time in my life or in our journey as an organization that we are sharing this India at 75, the entire nation celebrating it, and also having the results of the last 75 years of our journey is all showing in so many areas of how technology is transforming our country. The next 25 years, I'm looking forward to India at 100, whether I'm alive or not, but I'm sure the generations ahead are going to have to build on this kind of platforms which are going to be sustainable, and India has to become a major source of technology, not just for herself, but for the rest of the world as well. And I see that happening. We have shown our abilities, we have shown the capabilities. We are neck to neck in terms of how we produce many of these products. We are international standards. We are publishing academic research, quality research papers and research that is happening, the studies that are happening, the academic institutions collaborating with private organizations like ours is itself a great change process that is happening. So I think the next 25 years, I have no doubt that India will be in the top league of nations, in the top 5, in fact, to have that kind of bandwidth and also to have the kind of capabilities and resources to be a huge developer and
Certainly.
manufacturer of technologies for the rest of the world.
Absolutely. And since you spoke about this bright future, your vaccines have saved millions of Indians. Their best wishes are with you. And we're hopeful that, you will see India at 100 and you will see India becoming a medical superpower. Our best wishes are with you. But, since we are talking about the future roadmap and the kind of challenges, and you spoke of technology, how do you think digital technologies, particularly futuristic technologies like artificial intelligence, will help further growth of this industry?
Tina, for us, it is definitely artificial intelligence and the digitalization of many of the areas of the date, of the points that are needed in order to connect such products and to the diseases of the disease burden, the nature of epidemiology in terms of what is happening across a country like ours, which is very huge to begin with. I think such technologies in AI will definitely help augment the information, the data, the analytics part of what is happening at the field level, at the ground level in terms of the transmission of the disease or the spread of the disease or the occurrence of the disease, the predictability, the factors of how they can be computed in terms of predicting the future infections or the future nature of what we could expect that would be coming our way by looking at what is happening around the world. But for us, especially in life sciences and in biology, I would say 99%, it is about how we conduct our research physically in our labs, in our research areas in the work areas where we conduct the quality control, the testing of the products, the raw materials, the consumables that we consume, and also the clinical research. Maybe artificial intelligence is also something where we could deploy in areas of when we do clinical testing and clinical research in large patient populations and animal populations that have to be done because it is a protocol internationally required to deploy such protocols. So there are areas of the digital technologies that have to be deployed in certain areas of how we develop the product and also how we can distribute it later on in diverse geographical conditions of India that we have. But physically, for us, it is important to also match it with the raw science that is being done, the product science that needs to be done, the technologies that have to be brought together in order to understand physically the infrastructure, the capabilities of the human resources, and also the international level playing field of having and maintaining facilities which are on par with global standards. So physical infrastructure is huge for us. I would say 80% of our work is attributed to that. But definitely there are areas of R&D and product development and deployment of these products and distribution, and also the studying the epidemiology of these diseases definitely can be, can be augmented and supported by new technologies and digital technologies that will be of immense help to us.
Absolutely. So that was about the road ahead. Mrs. Ella, one last, remark from you, a positive message, in fact, for the young India, because they are the ones who will be inspired by this journey.
I would say our forefathers have sacrificed their lives. Tall leaders in the country have given us a direct sense of direction and the way ahead. The country has crossed 7 decades, 7.5 decades of growing pains, if I have to call it. Many hits were taken in the process. For the generation that is coming ahead, which is going to have to lead this country to India at 100 or India at 125, don't give up on that work, the sacrifice, and the immense work, quality of work, and the personal commitment that many millions of people have done in the past, are continuing to do it today. I would just say, for the young Indians, go for it. Take India to the top 3 nations of the world. I think that's what we need to have India at India at 100.
Absolutely. So this absolute confidence is something that has brought India to where it is. There are stories of grit, determination and strength that we will be bringing before you in the days to come as we mark the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav series on Sansad TV. But that very positive message coming in from Mrs. Suchitra Ella, the Joint Managing Director of Bharat Biotech, the company that has given India its very own indigenous vaccine against coronavirus. 2 years we've dealt with this pandemic. We've seen the despair, especially during the second wave. But now with this tremendous, vaccination program that India has launched and of which Covaxin has been a major driver, the results, the outcome is for all of us to see. So we wish that our pharma sector in the field of vaccinology, the kind of progress we've made, the journey should just go up and beyond from here. So with that, I'll have to wind up the discussion. Thank you, Mrs. Ella, for joining us on the program. Always a pleasure to hear you and your stories about Bharat Biotech and how to take the country forward in the pharma sector. Thank you very much for your time once again. So that's it from us, viewers, on this special broadcast. See you again next time. Thank you for your time.